Oxford has published for literally hundreds of years scholarly editions, which are in effect the definitive edited works of the greatest thinkers of all time.
No other publisher has as many editions as we do. Poems, plays, fiction, all kinds of texts, from medieval to modern times.
Oxford Scholarly Editions Online is, to me, one of the most shining examples of the way in which technology can reanimate scholarly work.
There are philosophical texts that are next to literary texts, that are next to political texts, that are next to theological texts. One gets the textual apparatus, all the textual variants, all the notes, all the commentary, all the introductions.
Those textual notes are the evidence for the editor's choice of how they establish the text. Did Shakespeare write too solid flesh or too sullied flesh? Then there are also the interpretative notes, which help researchers and students to unpack the full meaning of the text.
The image moves between the actual crown on Richard's head, the crown as a symbol.
We've taken some of the heavyweight content and we've turned that online in an interesting way. We've been faithful to the print, but we've also torn it apart and looked at it as the individual constituents of those print volumes.
1,000 flatterers sit within thy crown, whose compass is no bigger than thy head, and yet encaged in so small a verge, the waste is no whit lesser than thy land. Howl, 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 howl. Oh, you are
Metadata makes things a lot easier because it means that we can add intelligence to the content.
The words are heard as both a cry of anguish and a command to others to join him in mourning.
We can use that to support search, to support browsing in very natural ways that enable people to get to the content of the books.
Oxford Scholarly Editions Online has that balance between the simple, straightforward access to texts that will be useful for students, along with the far more in-depth and kind of advanced search options that the more serious researcher would need.
On the screen in front of you, you bring up the notes. The scholarly material is right there next to the main text, and you can pursue different avenues for searching for material, so it's quite intuitive in that way.
Libraries in Africa and in Asia and throughout the whole world will now have resources that they never could have hoped to attain to in the past. It's going to elevate humanistic scholarship.
We're increasing the dissemination of these texts, we're increasing their accessibility, we're making them really relevant to a contemporary audience of scholars and students.